Hey, what's up, guys? This is Pantera. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you a whole brand new Subterra Guru Says No deck profile for the new April 2020 ban list, which is, we got a whole new format where you can be summoning any fusions, synchros, and XYZs in your main monster zones without any links. So this deck is pretty much prepared for that, and it's just gonna be stomping the meta. A little background to the Subterror archetype. It comes from Shambhala, which is a mythos from Tibetan monks, Buddhist monks that just kind of told these myths and stories about Shambhala, which is considered kind of like it's like an inner haven, or you could say like a inner, protective area pretty much you can go to where you can be at peace, you can meditate, and there's a lot of other things that go on in Shambhala as well, though. But we're just going to continue on with the deck profile, and this deck profile is meant for people that want to kind of get into the competitive game again, and it's a very budgeted deck in the sense that you're going to not be playing these three cards that are pretty much worth it. One of those cards is worth as much as this whole stack right here. And so that's the thing about this deck, is that pretty much anybody can play it as long as you have about $50, $60, And then another thing about it is also it's geared more for people that are like new to playing the game and just newbies that are trying to get back into it. So yeah, now I'm gonna continue on with the deck profile. I'm gonna start it off with the Subterror Nemesis. This is any of the Subterrors that say Nemesis on them are pretty much the ones that are going to be fighting against, like, I guess you can call them like just evil trying to get into your Shambhala, and you're trying to protect Shambhala with these Nemesis. Next, I'll show you who it is that is trying to attack. This is just kind of a little background based on the Subterrors. This is a Subterror Behemoth Umastrix, which is pretty much the word Umastrix is kind of it's misspelled, and I think the correct pronunciation and spelling is Omorostick, of a correct term of a spiky tail lizard, which is pretty much what you see here is a giant behemoth spiky tail lizard. Yeah. Anyways, now we're going to continue on with the rest of the deck and to the real deal, what everybody's, trying to see and learn about the deck. So, this is your main negate card. This is the reason why your deck is able to say no, is because of Subterror Fiendus right here. And pretty much what Fiendus does is, as long as you control a Subterror monster on your field, you just send her to the graveyard and you flip the monster face down, and then it negates an activation of an effect, and it also just negates effects, I believe is how it's worded. It's a very powerful card. It's pretty much what gets your whole deck rolling, because it's like, this is kind of like a guaranteed one negate right here, and that's what you're trying to do when you're going first. Also, I forgot to mention that this build of this deck is like strictly when you have it right now, the way it's built right now is going first. So just be ready to go first, Anyway, so we got 3 of the Fiendus. After that, it's going to be 3 of the Subterror Guru. He's the main man. He's the Guru Master. He's the one that makes this deck even worth anything. And he's a really cheap card too, which is awesome. Even these ultra rare versions of him, they're like 75 cents to $1 a pop. So really easy to pick up. Yeah. And what he does is pretty much when he's flip face up, you may search any Subterror card, and there's a lot of options. Your main one that you want to search for is going to be Subterror Fiendus, which is like that's the main base of the deck. It's going to be this guy and Fiendus, and then I'll show you the spell card right now that lets you search for him. All right, so we're going to continue on to the deck profile. And this is a little bit in detail, so if you're like, you just want to see like more of the play test that I'm going to do later on, so you can see how the deck works, you can just skip the video and go on to that point. Otherwise, you can continue on watching the video, but it's just a basic deck profile, of Guru control. Alrighty, next we're going to have our hand traps, which is going to be Nibiru. I only play a 1-of because at the moment I only have 1. I would play triples, but I wouldn't always have them first, because when I'm going first, for the reason that you're not always guaranteed to play a deck that's going to summon more than 5 monsters. You're sometimes going to play against Guru, Altergeist, What's another annoying Mystic Mind Control, like, or Mystic Mind Burn, I mean, like, there's just a lot of decks that still play without summoning more than like 4 times, which that makes this card kind of a brick. So that's the reason why I only play one. But just because of the new meta, I know that there's going to be a lot of people playing right now online. They're all just going to want to be special summoning, special summoning, special summoning. So Nibiru can definitely hammer that. And what he does is pretty much after your opponent summons the 5th monster, you tribute all monsters he has on his side of the field. This guy comes out on my side of the field, and then they get a token that has the attack of all the monsters that were tributed on his side. And I get to choose the position of that monster, which you normally would want to pick that monster to get summoned in defense, because it's normally has less defense than it would have of attack. Yeah. And then to continue on with the rest of the hand traps after Nibiru, we got 1 DD Crow. And the reason I only have 1 is because I don't want to see it too much, but sometimes even when I'm going first, you're going to play against decks like, let's give an example, would be Heroes, Orcus, Thunder Dragon. Well, actually, Thunder Dragons, it does nothing. I take that back. But, decks that are actually going to be playing right now is going to be like Heroes, Orcus, Salamangreat. It just really targets those decks because you can banish, a lot of their key cards when they send them directly to the graveyard, and you instantly activate this and just banish them, and they're not able to get the effects off that they would want from those cards. So that's why DD Crow is just a very good card right now in the meta, and that's why he's in there. Next, the triple, your one and only Ash Blossom. You gotta always give a little love to Ash Blossom. These are some foreign ones that I have, 1 French and 2 German ones right here. And Ash is just another negate, so it's just part of the continuation of the point of the deck is to always say no to your opponent whenever they want to do anything against you. Yep. All right, now we're gonna go on to the spell cards. It's a pretty small monster lineup, so it's this deck is just on heavy on just weapons of saying no. All right, let's continue on. So next we have our triple Hidden City and 1 Terraforming, which is just another Hidden City, as you can see. And, this is your engine. This is what starts your whole deck, is you're going to use Hidden City. When you activate that, it's going to let you search for your guru. And then when you search for your guru, you set him. And then you activate the effect of Hidden City, the second effect, which is going to let you flip the guru. And then you got to get a search of any Subterror card, which, as you can see, there's many options, including spell and traps. And the one that you normally go with, though, is going to be your 1 negate. So guru can tell your opponent to say no. All right. Now we'll continue on. Now we're going to go with our draw power. So this is the card that I filled it in for temporary measures of budget reasons, and because this card is way cheaper than, it's pretty much $5 compared to $60, because the card you want to play is called Pot of Extravagance, which lets you banish 6 cards from your extra deck, and then you get to draw 2. So it's just a lot of, it just lets you go plus, and you get more potential to get more protection and just more things to interrupt your opponent with, or just to say no to your opponent. So what we play instead are 3 Pot of Desires. And Pot of Desires, a lot of, it's a very controversial card. A lot of people always say it sucks. It makes you go -9, -10, neg this, neg that. Pot of Desires is a +2 no matter what. And if it isn't a +2, it's going to bait out the Ash. It's going to bait something out to negate one of their spell and trap negation baits. And it's just, it really does actually compare to Pot of Extravagance. I would literally say it gets to that point, for the point that it does the same thing. The only cost difference is that, the difference is Pot of Extravagance, you only banish from your extra deck, which is like, you don't sacrifice anything from your extra deck. But the difference of Pot of Desires, you're banishing from your main deck, so you can lose some of your creatures, some of your spells that you really want. But the sacrifice is completely worth it, because you want to continue to get your draw power, because you need to see your Hidden City. The point is to absolutely try to get that Hidden City in your first turn, and if you do, you get to pop off. So to continue on with that draw power, I play the triple Pot of Duality as well. because in our deck, this specific deck of Guru Control, you don't special summon quite that often, or if at all. So you don't care about special summoning, and Pot of Duality just lets you filter through your deck by viewing the top 3 cards. You shuffle 2 back into them, and then you get to keep 1. And you know, the card that you're normally going to be searching for, guess what? What do you think it's going to be? Hidden City. You know, plain simple. But this is all right here is all built to get to, you know, your man, your boy, Mr. Guru. All right, let's continue on. Now, this is what I have for protection. My protection spell called By the Grave, because I hate getting ashed. Because Ash Blossom can really stop your whole deck. Once they stop, you know, you say activate Hidden City to try to search for your Guru, they're going to Ash Blossom, right? That can really stop your deck right there. So you want to have as much chance as possible to negate that Ash Blossom. And I promise you, Ash Blossom is in the meta. You will see it almost in 70% of the decks. So that's why I play the 3 Call by the Grave, is just to make sure that my combo can continue. All right. Then after that, show you the rest. We got 1 Super Poly. A lot of people are going to be critical about this one. They're going to say, oh, why aren't you playing 3? It's just because I don't have them. And, it's, you know, this is like a budget version of the deck, because Super Poly is a little bit more on the expensive side. Oh, well, yeah, because even the commons from the new Shadal deck, they're still pretty expensive. So that's just what it is. Yes, play 3 instead of 1. I would recommend that too. Alrighty, but to continue on with the rest of the one-ofs of my spells, we got a Cosmic Cyclone. This is pretty much a mandatory card you need to play now, just because of Mystic Mine. Because not even just Mystic Mine Burn is the only deck that's playing Mystic Mine. Everybody's playing, you know, Mystic Mine is just on the loose, and that card can just really stop combos, just stop even your combo. Even if you have 1 monster that have 0, your Guru can't do his search, you can't attack, you can't kill your opponent. It just stops you on your tracks. Very bad. So Cosmic Cyclone, mandatory. 1 Subterror Cave Clash. This is that one of another card that you can search with your Subterror Guru. Some people don't like playing this card because they say it's not very good when you go first, and it's just more of a win more card. But I actually believe that, you know, the Guru deck for the most part is not going to just win when you go back to when it comes back to your turn. You're going to have to continue the battle, because you normally can only you're not going to be able to special summon that much, so you probably are only going to summon 1 other monster. You might not have enough damage to take to kill your opponent, but what this does is pretty much, as long as you do some damage when it comes back to your turn, you're able to grab 1 Subterror card from your graveyard, and the one that you're normally going to be grabbing is going to be your Fiendus, because you normally activate this in your opponent's turn when he's, you know, when you let him go, and then it comes back to you. And this is your negate. So what does this card do? Once you do a little bit of damage, you get to say no again. It's a beautiful little combo. So I think 1 Cave Clash is pretty mandatory to play in the deck, whether you play it going first or, you know, however you build it. I think 1 is pretty good. And that's going to be all for the spells. Now we're going to continue on to the traps. For traps, which is like, you know, I love playing traps. I'm a trap master, so we got a few of them. We're going to start off with the double summon limit, and the triple there can be only 1. For this meta right now, I think this is probably one of the best lineups there can be to stopping an opponent going first. Summon limit, you could say that's going to stop about I'll just name out some of the relevant decks, which would be is going to be Heroes, Salamangreat, it stops Shadal's, it stops Alistair, you know, the Invoker, it stops everything. So for the most part, as long as you go first and you're playing against a deck that wants to combo, Summon Limit says no to combo. So that's Summon Limit. There can be only 1. It only lets you have 1 type of monster on the field, and that's what's the nice thing about this specific archetype. You can have 1 of each monster. You cannot have multiples of the same type of monster. So the reason why that stops a lot of decks is a lot of decks are based on their own archetype, which would be like, for an example, there's decks that play a lot of dragons. If you have there can be only 1, you can only have 1 dragon on field. So you aren't allowed to continue your combo. So there can be only 1, lets you have only 1 of each type. And The nice thing about the Guru deck is that each different monster is a different type. As you can see here, I'll show you Fairy, Reptile, Spellcaster, and we also have Dragon. And there's a couple other Subterrors that I don't have in the deck because they're just not efficient. They're not worth having in the deck. So yeah, you are, while you're sitting there and able to play around this card, they're just suffering there and they can't really do their combos. And this is, your reason why this deck wins a lot, and it has to be mandatory in your main lineup. All of these cards used to be worth probably like $5 or more each, but since they got the reprint, this is what makes it budget. They let you play this freaking deck for the cheap, guys. Get yourselves your summon limits, and there can be only one. All right, after that, we're gonna play just some more say no cards, because we love saying no. Solemn Judgment. You pay half of your life points and you pretty much get to negate any summon or a spell or trap that would be activated. This is a counter trap, so unless your opponent is playing another counter trap, they normally can't say no to the no, because this is the Judgment right here, guys. After that, the last of the lineup, 2 Subterror Final Battles, and both of these are just pretty much they're the card that lets you search normally with Guru if you already have a Fiendus in hand. And the nice thing about this card is that it has 4 different crazy effects. One is to bring one Subterror monster from face down to face up. So let's say you have a Guru and you're like turn 3 right here. You can activate this, flip him face up, and then he can combo off by Surge. You get a Surge pretty much. It lets you put monsters face down as well. Not often effect that you would use, putting a Subterror monster face down, but you can use it. Let's say it's your turn and you don't have a card that your opponent can flip your Guru face down, and you would just activate that effect of Final Battle, flip him face down with Final Battle, and flip him back up to get a Surge. So yeah, and then the other effect is going to be, sorry, give me just a second, guys. It's going to be, you can target one Subterror monster, and the attack and defense of that monster, it gets combined, and that's going to be your attack and defense. It only counts for the original attack and defense, but what that effect does is pretty much when you activate the third effect, your Subterror Guru goes from 1,600 attack to 3,400 attack. That can kill a Blue Eyes right there. I know I've said this before in one of my other deck profiles, but just having 3,400 attack is just, it's a beastie boy right here. Your little guy can become a really big guy and kill big old monsters. Yeah, and then the final effect, which is also very useful and used at some points when they try to negate your Fiendus from grave. Let's say they have a Call by the Grave, and they try to use it on your Fiendus from the graveyard. You just activate Subterror Final Battle after that and activate the final effect, which says, this turn, activated effects of Subterror cards cannot be negated. So this doesn't do anything, and you still tell your opponent no. All right, and then finally for the final card, just the one single of Infinite Impermanence. This is actually not considered a budget card. There is an alternative, which is called Effect Veiler. I would say Effect Veiler, which costs like $1 to $20 for the most cheapest version of this card. Just get yourself your 3 Effect Veilers and call it a day, But I play one of the Impermanence because I pulled it from a pack, so I play it. So yeah, and this version of the deck, I will say, it's very powerful. It tells your opponent no so many times. Hey guys, just want to say that I made the second part of the video into a different video instead of putting it in the end of this video because it was kind of too long. I'm trying to just keep it to 20-minute videos. So yeah, please check out that other video if you want to see the playtest.